Welcome, everyone, once again to the Agroecology webinar series. My name is Evelyn Zuniga, and I am one of the communications officers for the Agroecology Partnership. If you haven't been here in these webinars before, the Agroecology Partnership officially started in 2024 and is funded under the Horizon Europe program. It currently unites the European Commission and 72 partners across 26 EU member states, associated countries, and third countries. The partnership seeks to support the agriculture sector to meet the targets and challenges from climate change, biodiversity loss, food security and sovereignty, and the environment. The partnership combines the resources of the European Commission and the participating countries to fund research that generates essential knowledge and innovative technologies to closely align with its primary themes and goals. This is our third and final webinar in the agroecology series, which is agroecology soils. We're going to continue with another series, which is going to be agroecology crops. Throughout the soil series, we explore key practices, challenges, and innovations that contribute to maintaining healthy soils for resilient and productive ecosystems. I just have a quick housekeeping announcement. Feel free to type your question in the Q&A and the chat section that I have enabled for everyone. I'm going to do my best to address as many as possible that with the time that we have. Just allow me to share my screen real quick. This one, so it's coming. Right. Yes, perfect. Uh, Today, we have the fortune to have Daniele Oms as our panelist. Danielle is currently working as a researcher at the Regional Development and Spatial Use Unit at Wageningen University in the Netherlands. Uh, Danielle explores the socioecological transitions through interdisciplinary research. Her work combines design research with environmental and social sciences, contributing to projects on integrated area approaches, circularity, and sustainable food systems. With a background in more than human design, she investigates human and non human relations and participatory methods. She also runs Studio Daniela Oms, where she bridges academic research with creative community centered design practices for sustainability and inclusion. Today, the title of her talk is Perspectives for Decision Support Tools for Soil Health in Living Labs, which is part of the Prac2Live project, which was funded by EGP Soil. Danielle, thank you very much for joining us today. I'm very happy to welcome you to this space, and I'm just gonna stop sharing my screen, and you can start sharing your presentation. Thanks so much.
Yes, thank you for introducing me. I'll start sharing my screen. Oh, no, wait. Almost. Yes. So,
Okay.
can you see it?
Yes, perfect now. Yeah, full presentation.
Great, thank you for introducing me. Yes, today I'm going to tell you something about participatory approach for developing a common vision of the use of decision support tools for soil health in living labs. And this is part of the Prac2Live project, fostering soil management practices and developing decision support tools through living labs in the EU. So, a bit about myself. Of course, you already made a great introduction, but my name is Daniela Ooms. I studied industrial design in Eindhoven at the Technical University there. And then, more than 2 years ago, I started doing a traineeship here in Wageningen University and research about integrated landscape approaches. And as part of this traineeship, I hopped around different research institutes here in Wageningen and was also part of this Open Tilta Institute where I started this, where I joined this project. So I joined this project only for a few months, and that's also a while back. So I don't know the most updated version of how the project is going, but at least I can take you with me on my experience and what I know about the project. So today I'm going to tell you a bit about the EGB Soil program, so the bigger scheme of it, and the project Prac2Live. The use of decision support tools in Europe, and from single focus tools to web portal for soil health. And then what mainly I did was a participatory method for developing a common vision, and then how this is applied in Prac2Live and some conclusions. So the EGP Soil Program. So the objective of this program is to enhance the contribution of agricultural soils to key societal challenges such as climate change, adaptation, and mitigation, sustainable agriculture production, ecosystem services provision, as well as prevention and restoration of land and soil degradation. And this bigger project was started in 2020 and ended in 2024. Research partners from 24 countries in Europe were involved in this project. And in every country, there was a national hub where research partners could interact and with each other, but not only the research partners, but also all the stakeholders. So the farmers or the advisors, all the policymakers were also part of these national hubs. And then there were all various projects within the EGP Soil Program, but today we're going to focus on the Prac2Live project, where I was also involved in. So the project Prac2Live, the aim of this project is to assess the availability and uptake of decision support tools and provide recommendations to promote sustainable soil management. And what we understand as a decision support tool, or what we use this concept, is there are digital tools that farmers, advisors, or policymakers use to make decisions on soil organic matter, water retention, and nutrient efficiency. And these tools can be software, apps, web portals, all kind of digital tools or digital supports. And they should be reliable, accessible, and easy to use for all these stakeholders, so the farmers, the advisors, and the policymakers. And they should be based on evidence-based data. So the focus on this is soil organic matter, nutrient efficiency, use efficiency, soil moisture, and soil moisture retention of these tools. And we did a questionnaire to national coordinators to see what is needed in these tools, what kind of tools are there already, and what is important to develop in these tools. And then later we discuss with stakeholder groups, okay, what's the focus of these tools and what do we need to develop further? So some of the results. So you see here, this figure is the percentage of reported development needed in these decision support tools. So, for example, we need to better use the efficiency of soil nutrients. We need to know more about soil organic carbon. We need more development in soil water availability and retention. And we needed to have all these tools integrated, because right now these tools are mainly focused on one of these subjects and not a tool that combines it all. But also from the research from this whole questionnaire, we concluded what kind of users use these decision support tools. So we have farmers, we have agronomists, consultants, advisors, researchers, private companies and NGOs, and monetary policymakers. So there's also a wide variety on who uses these decision support tools. And as part of the Prac2Live project, we also made a mock-up design mobile app for organic matter to see different carbon input sources at field level. So we made this mock-up to see what could a decision support tool look like and how can we also communicate that to the partners in our project and to the stakeholders surrounding it, that we can see, oh, this is how such a tool could look like, would you use it, what do you need, etc. And so there are a lot of single focus tools right now available, but what we were also aiming was a web portal for soil health to put all these tools together. So an important early stage of provision of decision support tools were twofold. What I already said, most decision support tools target only one feature, for example, fertilization or, for example, carbon segregation. And most decision support tools are directed at farmers and not at other stakeholders, let alone the stakeholders community or a living lab where all these stakeholders work together. So these decision support tools are not focused right now on the advisor or on the policymaker, but only on the farmer. So the current situation regarding use and availability of decision support tools do not match very well with EU efforts to promote the integrative concept of soil health, nor match with the adapted policy to implement by 2030 100 living labs that focus on the improvement of soil health. So how can we create tools or a web portal that bring that all together? That in these labs, all these stakeholders could use the different tools and the tools could also rely on each other. In support of this policy, we explored the potential use of decision support tools for soil health in living labs using novel methods to include stakeholders in the designing process. So that's where I came in with my design background. We used a participatory designing method, and we did this because it was not clear what the vision was. So the question was, can we create a common vision by using a participatory design method? And what we mean by that is, with all the stakeholders in the project and surrounding the project, can we create this vision on what a decision support tool for soil health should entail? So what we did, and I will take you with me through this journey, what we did, at first we started extracting key points for a visualization out of a team discussion. And then we presented these visualized key points in expert groups to receive feedback. Are these the things that are correct, etc.? And then using the visualization as an inspiration for discussion. And throughout the process, the visualization undergoes several iterations from progressing insights, which serves as input and inspiration for new discussions. So there were a lot of iterations of the visualization, and I will show you a few today. The endpoint is reached when ideas from major stakeholders groups have been included and few new discussions points are found. So the point is, if we have these visualizations and there aren't any new ideas coming up, then we can conclude that we have an endpoint of this participatory design method. So we started with extracting key insights. So we had this online brainstorm meeting with the whole Track to Live team, which was quite a big team. And we were there. Okay, what are decision support tools for soil health in living labs? That was the main focus. And we were there with 3 people of our team. One coordinated the session, one moderated the session, and I was there as the designer, and I started drawing while they were having the discussions. So as you can see, it was a big mess. And I started just drawing what I heard, and then later on we discussed all these drawings. So if we dive in, we have decision support tools. They could be on your laptop or your phone. Where should it be? So that's more the practical side. Who should use it? Who are in contact with each other now? Like, who are the stakeholders? And can these support tools also create new relations, maybe? But also, what kind of tools can we use? Is it a decision support tool or maybe a discussion support tool? Does the tool help to make a decision for soil health, Or does it help to create a discussion, what is soil health? So that was also an interesting discussion. Based from these drawings and based from this discussion, we came with new key points. So I started to work out these key points. And a few key points I have here is we see this is more on a farm level. The scale of the farm depends on what kind of tool is needed, but also, is it an animal farm or a crop farm? Is it an organic farm or a conventional farm or a regenerative farm? And does that affect a decision support tool and what is needed? Here we have the visualization, or the first start of the visualization of the difference between a discussion support tool or a decision support tool, and then what is the difference, but also maybe a decision support tool is more used alone, and is a discussion support tool maybe used in a collective. And also, where in Europe are all these living labs? Because do these living labs, these partners that work together on a certain topic, are they close by? Do they live in the same area, or is a living lab more broad around Europe? Because do they sorry, do they work on the same topic and therefore are in the same living lab? And so we had these few first visualization based from this previous discussion with our team, with the big team, the 10 people or so. And I made these drawings, and then we thought, okay, now let's show these drawings to, for example, the participants from the Dutch National Hub from the EGP Soil Program, but also other people that are involved in a program or our stakeholders. And we showed them these visualization, and we asked them, is this everything? Is this what is needed in a support tool? And do you agree with how it is visualized right now? Do you have comments? Is, for example, this picture I draw, it was just random, but to show that living labs could be together or spread all over Europe. And that was not clear because they associated that there should be something here in Italy. So we changed that a bit. And so based on all these visualizations, we had comments. And so together we developed a next iteration. And we developed it further and further and further. And then we had the final visualization. And that was a poster we presented at the EGP Soil event in the summer of 2024. And it was really interesting because, as you can see, I will show later a more zoomed in version. This was our visualized poster, and we presented it at a poster presentation at the EGP Soil event. And they were all super scientific posters, and then this one was the all out. I will see. Oh, no. I thought I had. I have it here so that we can zoom in a bit. So you see the things I changed and the things we added. Oh, this is too far zoomed in. Sorry. So everyone kind of agreed on this animal, on the scale of the farm, and what kind of farmers are used. Oh, yes. And also on the difference between the discussion and the decision support tools. But what added was, what do we need to create functional decision support tools? So that was also based from all these conversations. Then we started like, okay, but we also really need the tech behind it. How can we create these decision support tools to actually work, and what is needed, and what is needed in the web portal? So we presented this so people could think, okay, what do we need to create a functional decision support tool, and what does it entail? What is the content of this decision support tool or of this web portal? But also, value chain and funding and revenue was mentioned. Who is going to use these support tools? Can they pay for it? Who's going to fund the research on these support tools? So that was also a question raised, and we added that. And also, is it a bottom-up thing or a top-down? Is it based from the farmers cooperative, or is it top-down from an EU directive or the soil health law? And then we also showed something about the soil and the levels of soil quality, decision support tools, and we presented this. Back to my presentation. We presented this at the EGP Soil event to see what kind of discussions it would raise. And we also say this is not an end product, this is a novel method to inspire discussion. So, during the poster session of the 2024 EGP Soil Science Days in Latvia, we also included a QR code to the poster with 3 questions considering the topic. Decision support tool for soil health in living labs. What discussion points do you see or not see? What was unexpected and what was a misfit amongst, and is this a misfit amongst all scientific posters? Well, apparently no. At least it seemed in the beginning, and my colleague said, "Ooh, this looks different." But it was received as a refreshing and inspiring take on the topic of soil health, and it ignited conversation on how to communicate among scientists and reach out to a broader audience. And we were there with different people from all over Europe. And then one of this person commented, like she said, this week I could not follow her presentation due miscommunication about a word. Had I seen a picture of it, I would have understood immediately. And that's also why we chose for this discussion tool, this discussion method for visualization. And that was reflected in the comments. So the conclusion for using this new method within the soil, it's not a new method, but it is a new method, at least as we figured within the soil health community. And for Practice to Live, it was useful to discuss in an integrative and additive manner all subtopics considered relevant for our chosen team, decision support tools for health, soil health in living labs. The participatory process of these discussions enhanced commitment to the outcomes. So we had these different participatory moments with the team and with other stakeholders. And new subtopics could be identified that had not been explicitly included in the original questionnaires made for the project. For example, the digital twin, the business model, or the ecosystem services. As for the method itself, the participatory approach method was high potential for inspiring, focusing, and accelerating the development of a common vision on complex matters. It was considered as useful addition research method for conceptual vision, data collection, and interpretation, combining research and communication. For use at a wider level, the method would benefit from some standardization for quality assurance. What we saw when we presented the visualization, because a lot of our partners or team members or stakeholders were not used yet to these kind of methods or these participatory visualization methods, that they startled a bit and they were talking about, oh, this should not be that color, or they didn't know how to respond. So I think if we do this again, we need to better introduce what our goal is with the visualization, what we did do during the poster session, but in earlier stages when the visualization was still messy, we should have better, we can do better in introducing what our goal is with this. And thank you so much. That is it.
All right. Thank you, Daniela. And thanks for your, yeah.
So stop sharing my screen.
Yeah, sure. Thanks for sharing your
Um,
presentation and the insights of the project. And I can see that it's very important to take like a lot of aspects into account, like what type of farm is it going to be, what type of if it's organic or traditional, if it's a big farm, a small farm. That was kind of very interesting to see how everything kind of goes together, has to go together to be able to do this kind of modeling. I want to remind everyone to put your questions in the Q&A and the chat section that I have enabled for everyone. We have two questions so far. So the first one is, thank you for the presentation. And have you or Practical Live partners considered the method applied in living labs outside Europe?
yes, I think it could definitely be helpful to apply this method. Break to Live was a Euro-based project, and I was only there for a few months. So I think it could definitely have potential, but there should be, yeah, opportunities.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. And there's another question. It says, how do you define and differentiate discussion and decision tool?
That's an interesting question, and I think that's also why we put it there on the poster, because people have different opinions about it. If I would define it, then I would say a decision tool would say you need to do this. For example, okay, I don't know a lot about soil health myself, so if I say weird things, please spare me. But the decision support tool would say, okay, this is the status of your soil health, and you should do this right now. So it makes a decision for you, I would say. And a discussion support tool would more have the discussion, okay, this is the data, and these are the other stakeholders. What would we do together? Let's discuss this.
Then
So,
it could
should
be
it
like,
make
yeah.
decisions for you, or
Mm.
should it help provide you to make your own decision?
All
So
right.
should you be in discussion with the tool?
Yes. Yeah, that makes
Yeah,
sense. So it also could be that you have like a decision tool that it derives into a discussion tool, like I don't know, some kind of drug
yeah,
conclusion. It goes to a different, I don't know, type of stakeholder that they just go directly to what is the conclusion of the decisions that have been
yeah,
made here. Yeah, that
yeah,
makes sense.
yeah, definitely. And
Um,
I think also uh, it depends on how and when you use it and with whom you use it. If you're using it alone, a decision support tool, or if you're using it with others. So that
Yeah, I
also
like
depends.
I like the part when you said that when it's a decision support tool, it's like kind of a lone thing, and when it's a discussion support tool, it's like a collective one. That
Yeah,
does
yeah.
make a sense. Somebody has another question. It says, can you give some detail, if possible, of a living lab for agroecology, as in like probably the definition of living lab. You're looking for this.
Yes, that was also part of the discussion. What is a living lab? We had that question as well. A living lab, at least as I understood it, is different partners, different stakeholders working together on a certain topic. So that could be an area that there are these farmers, advisors, and makers work together in that area to create soil health. But it could also be a living lab that people work together on agroecology together. So
All
it's
right.
more of a group of people working together that would normally not per se work together,
Mm-hmm.
and then they are put together in a living lab,
Let's say like something like
working
working
on practical things,
on
real
like the
life.
All right, like something like carbon sequestration in soil, but let's say in Italy, in Norway, like in different types of soil or in different conditions to see how
Yeah,
carbon sequestration works in different latitudes, I would say,
yeah,
yeah?
yeah,
All right,
yeah,
I see.
yeah.
Okay, yeah, that's a good definition, yeah, for living labs. And like you are a
Oh,
young
sorry.
research.
There's
Sorry. Oh,
a
there's another
follow up
question.
question.
Sorry.
Yeah.
And it says, does live
Um,
include the test
that's,
field as well, or just
could
discussion
be,
and
yes.
anything else?
Yeah, yeah, definitely. I think living labs are perfectly suitable for actual practical real life situations as well. So also the test field. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Yeah, so my question is like you're a young researcher who joined this project. So we have probably lots of young researchers joining the webinar. So what advice would you give to other researchers when they join these large European projects? What did you learn?
I think in the beginning it's quite overwhelming, especially for me. I came here with a design background and was asked to join this project based on my design skills. But I had so many questions about soil. I didn't know a lot about it. And then my advice would just be to just jump right into it. Ask the questions. If you don't know, ask the questions. I joined the HB soil event, and there were like diehard researchers on soil health, and I went to these presentations, and I would just ask my colleagues, okay, what does this word mean, or what are they talking about? So if you don't know, just ask, I would say, and jump in. And everybody knows that you're new to the field, and that's fine.
Okay. Okay. We have another question here. It says, could you please elaborate more on the methodological process of developing this activity, particularly on the topic of finding and selecting tools? Like, what was the approach?
This activity, particularly on the topic of finding and selecting tools. The finding and selecting tools was not part of this participatory method. So that was more part of the questionnaire. So we did a questionnaire with a lot of stakeholders to see what kind of tools are out there. And so I was not part of finding and selecting the tools, but they did that with the questionnaire. And to see what is missing, we use this participatory method to see, okay, now we asked a lot of questions. Do you use a support tool? What kind of support tool? What is missing? Those basic questions, but then we use this method to sort of dive deeper into it to see if we sort of create discussions around this topic. Are there any missing links we didn't see in the questionnaire?
Okay. And there's another question. It says, I'm not sure if it was already discussed, but I just wanted to ask, who are the decision makers intended to use in this decision tool? Would it be the farmers or their stakeholders?
That would be the farmers, the advisors, and the policymakers. But I think that could even be broader, but at least this research focused on that.
All right.
And there's also a question, do you identify other tools?
Oh yeah. But I guess I didn't ask because I guess you said that they were kind of other team was identifying. So do you know the answer that there were no computer based?
I think they only identified computer-based tools, but I would say why not other tools? So
Okay.
yeah.
We have another one here. It says, does this decision support tool disseminate the specific nutrient fertilizer recommendations? For example, if we are looking for a cluster of large scale, if we don't have a proper ground data?
I don't know, sorry. No, I'm not that deep into it.
But they are in the end, they're looking to develop a tool, or just okay.
Yeah, they're looking to develop a web portal that includes all kinds of tools.
All right.
So that you can combine these tools.
Okay, I see an interesting question here. It says follow up, like, how did you deal with the power dynamics in the discussion between stakeholders?
We did discuss it in different settings. So we didn't have all the stakeholders together to create this discussion. So we had multiple discussions. So we had the first visualization and we showed it, for example, to the national hub. Then we had a next iteration and we showed it to a soil health expert. And then we had a next iteration and, for example, we showed it the poster, and then we just had conversations with people one by one or two came by with the poster. So we didn't have a group of 50 people together and then have to deal with this power dynamics.
All right. And
But that is an interesting question. And how would you deal with it? Yeah, maybe it helps to level it out, because for everybody it's a new way of discussing things based on visualizations. So maybe that could help a bit with the power dynamics, but I'm not sure because we didn't do that.
all right. I have another question here. Um, what do you think? So I see that sometimes these decision support tools, like they are accessible, and then all of a sudden they are kind of disappear with the project when the project ends. So what maybe ideas, like what do you think could be done for them to kind of last like
Yeah.
longer than what the project is intended to?
Um, I don't have ideas, but that's why that also was one of the part of the poster. Who's going to pay for this? Who's going to use it? Are the end users going to pay for it? Or is it part of this soil health law? Should it be provided by the
Mm-hmm.
EU? Or
Yeah,
but I
exactly.
think that's something we should discuss together. The people who make tools, the people who use tools, the
Mm-hmm.
people who research tools
Yeah.
should come to a common ground on how can we sustain these tools.
Yeah, because sometimes there could be like an imbalance in between, like you have big companies who can afford to pay for these tools, and then you have the small
Yeah,
farmers who don't have ways kind of to pay for this. And is there
yeah.
like any incentives, like, and that was other of my question, maybe in your research, or like did you find out if there were like among the countries that were participating in the project, where are there countries that kind of give incentives or kind of pay for these tools for the for small farmers, let's say?
Sorry, I know. No,
Yeah,
I
I
hope
also
so.
don't,
I think there was at least an option that sort of the living labs could do these things together.
because I know there are some like here in Ireland there are incentives for farmer, let's say, for example, for them to have a more, let's say, organic farming or kind of better um practices if they go like they grow like the trees or like see how they take care of the water and all of this can there's
Mm-hmm.
kind of incentives from the government for them to be able to do this kind of practically stuff.
Yeah,
I was wondering, I don't know, I don't even know myself if there is in Ireland something like for the tools,
yeah,
but maybe there's something that can be kind of, yeah, kind of done.
yeah, yeah. I don't know. Maybe my colleagues know, but unfortunately, I don't know. Yeah,
There
but
is a
that would be good.
there's a person here asking is like that says, can we collaborate to do the same in India? We have proper experimental fields and two living labs for CA and React.
Where do you want to collaborate on
They
the
want probably
participants?
collaborate with you in a new project. Well, you can contact Daniela.
Yeah, yeah. You
Yeah,
can contact me,
yeah,
but
yeah.
then I know what you want to collaborate on.
Yeah, yeah, it's got to be like to see what the project is about.
Yeah.
Um, I have this question also here. So if the money was not like a problem in an ideal world, if the money was not a problem, how would you like to see uh, money or time is not a problem? How do you like to see the result of the Prac to Live project applied? If-
Ooh. Mm, yeah, the result of the Prac to Live project is, of course, way bigger than the only part I join in for. But if I would say for the bigger scheme, then I think they're doing great work. And now, because time and money stopped due to money, I think that's a shame.
Mm,
I think it would be interesting to continue what they're doing. And because now it stopped in 2024 in the
mm,
summer, so it's already a half a year ago or something.
yeah.
So I think if there's more money and time, if they continue, it would be great
Yeah, definitely
to
there some,
further develop this. Yeah.
yeah. Sometimes it's just the project is over and then you feel like okay, so we could do this other thing, but like, yeah, maybe
Yeah,
there can be
yeah,
another
we
projects kind of being
and
proposed, like
actually,
spin-off projects out of that
yeah,
one.
yeah, and actually create this web portal or create this that people could use it all over the world, even India, for example, that people could use the web portal. Um, all the
Yeah,
ideas that were coming up in the Practical Live for 4 years, that they could actually be realized.
yeah. And I just have maybe this. Oh, there's one here. There's one here. Didn't see. It says from your perspective as a designer, do you identify main issues between researchers to agree on common ideas? If yes, how do you manage? Did some learning lessons from your experience?
What my main experience is that, at least here, what my experience is in for 2 years in my academia, is that researchers sometimes already have this idea what it should be, and then they don't really look at the process itself.
Mhm.
So we need to create a web portal for decision support tools. I don't say that this was exactly the case here, but for example, and then they don't look at the process, but what comes up during the process, and ask the questions if the web portal is still the right goal to aim for. So I would say look at the process and also be in the process. Reflect
Mhm.
on the process and not only on the outcome. So reflect on, and that's what we try to do with these visualizations. Also present it. This is just an idea. This is
Mhm.
not the idea or the end idea. This is just to put something out there. But just shoot, go ahead. Also say, I don't agree, but why don't you agree? And how does it does this not fit in the process? Or yeah, so really reflect and just put everything out there and then shoot on it. I would say that.
All right. Um, um, I just wanted to like ask, were there discussions about like if use like to decision support tools on the phone versus decision support tools on like the computer, as in like because
Yeah,
it's different, depends like what kind of results you have and what
yeah,
kind of time you have
definitely.
to kind of look through things. What did
Yeah,
the kind of people say around that?
yeah, and that's also really depending on how people work. Because we would say, yeah, farmers don't have time to sit behind their laptops. They would only use a phone on, while on the tracker or something. But then I would say, okay, let's ask them or let's
Mm.
try or let's. I think we have a lot of ideas on if
Mm.
phone or computer is better or what kind of medium is better, but I think we also just test it, and that's
Yeah.
also the same. Also do that in the process. Try it out, test it, see if this works, and not only think for other stakeholders, but go out there and just make this mock-up like they did in this process and give it to the people.
Hmm.
Do they use it while on the land or do they use it while being at home, and ask these questions?
Yeah, just kind of leave the preconceptions of what you think is gonna work for
Yeah,
someone or not. Because also, yeah, there is farmers, but there are different groups of farmers. There are young farmers, there are old farmers, they work differently. And there might
exactly.
be farmers that have like some kind of, I don't know, people might help them with the technology, side
Yeah,
of things.
yeah.
Yeah, that
Hmm.
that does change like a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um, okay, Daniela. So this is all the time we have. I am past 1 minute.
Well,
Uh,
we did
thank you
great.
so much for joining us today and for sharing with us like all this creative process to create and try to imagine how kind of a best version of a support tool could be.
Hmm.
Um, Thank you very much. And I just want to invite everyone to go and visit the Practically project, which is online. We just Google type Practically, and then you'll find all the results there. It's really great to see. And I want to invite everyone for our next webinar. It's going to be Professor Per Kudsk from Aarhus University. He will be talking about integrated with management, practical implementation and solutions for Europe. And that's going to be at 10 a.m. Central Europe time. And thank you everyone for your questions and for joining us today. And thank you so much, Danielle, for accepting our invitation and for presenting your research.
Yes.
It is fantastic. It's really nice to see how kind of, and it's as they said to you, it is refreshing because it's not kind of like the graph, your graph and then your numbers, and then that you like, you just get to see because everyone learns in different ways. And
Mhm.
then images are very crucial sometimes for that process. And thank you so much for sharing everything with us.
Yes. Yes. Thank you for inviting me.
Okay.
Thank you for all the amazing questions, everyone.
Okay. Thank you, everyone. See you
Yes.
in another
Thank you.
opportunity. Bye.
Bye.